Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sun Show. That's at the Loyal Suns on all your social medias. Follow us here and follow us there for Pitt sports content that you do not want to miss. If you love Nate Yarnell, the sheriff, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sun Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt sports opinions and contents and everything in between. Gentlemen, football season is here, and we are back.
Yeah, there was no hate in our intro. We're just happy to be back and happy to be talking about football for real.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we've got the Hall of Fame game coming up on Thursday, so that's our first bit of football. It will be the last. No more Thursdays without football for the foreseeable future. Also, side note, I do have an infant in the studio with me right now, so if you see me looking over my right shoulder or momentarily leaving the studio, it's to deal with that. I'm not just trying to get away from this show.
Why would you want to do that? Things are so rosy for Pitt football, are they not? What could possibly distract you from the season we're about to enjoy?
Nothing at all. It's going to be great. We're going to be really good again. Last year is a thing of the past. We've fixed all the problems, and let's just hit the ground running. I mean, it's 2024, the 2023 season. Hey, we've got a big windshield and a small rear view mirror for a reason.
Exactly. Which is probably not safe for driving purposes, but it's what we got to do given what happened last year. So before we get into training camp, this is the training camp preview. We have had one episode since like April. So what's new with you guys? Let's get. I'm David, by the way, if you're listening and you forget which one of us is which I think would be understandable. And I'm joined as always by Squid and Dylan. Squid, Dylan, what's new with you guys?
I'm just grinding away on NCAA 25. I am so ready for football. This is going to help me get over the hump to like the real season. I'll probably have like 7 or 8 seasons done by then with Pitt. So I'll keep you posted on the progress of that. Other than that, no, nothing at all.
Yeah, I have this infant with me. It's not my child, but he is my godson. He's staying with us right now. And so I'm getting a crash course on having a baby. So a lot of really good tests run. I'm hoping to get him out to some Pitt football games. You might be able to hear him right now. We already got him to the Pete. We took him down there for the TVP game. So he's already at 5 months been exposed to the Peterson Event Center and hopefully Acrisure Stadium come this fall.
Yeah, you just got to get him those big like over ear earmuffs that they make for. Yep, oh hell yeah! So he's locked, loaded, and ready for a lifetime of disappointment.
Ready for the backyard brawl.
Yeah, he has a onesie, a Pitt onesie. I'm sure he'll get plenty more gear. I don't know, maybe a little Nate Yarnell jersey onesie. I think we could probably work one of those up. So
absolutely.
So I see Dylan and I have pretty similar lives going on right now. David, what's new with you?
I also have college football 25 and have been grinding away. So nothing's going to stop that.
Good.
I just got back from like a week and a half in Ireland, and I missed like the first day launch of NCAA football. So that is my excuse for how dog shit I am at it. We're all in a dynasty league together, and I'm absolutely most likely to go like 0-12, 1-11. I don't know. We'll find out because I have a game tonight against the other, clearly the worst player in our dynasty league. Yeah. So similarly to you guys, NCAA football most of my life plus like one other thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ireland, greatest country on the planet. So yeah, weird mixed bag we got here.
Did you just call Ireland the greatest country on the planet? Mid-Olympics?
Listen, we don't have to. All
right. Never mind.
I didn't. Are we gonna do this?
Did you watch LeBron and KD on Saturday? Or Sunday.
Fair point. You aren't finding a lot of LeBron Jameses in Galway.
Yeah, I'd imagine none actually. But please proceed.
Exactly 0. Yes. No, I have nothing to add to that. You kind of stuck me with the whole greatest country in the world thing. I don't know. For traveling purposes, leave me alone. Go Team USA.
So camp starts on Wednesday.
And
yeah, we're recording this Monday night for just so everyone knows, just in case like 3 of our best players decide to transfer the day before camp. Monday at 5:40. I would hope not. That, right? I don't know. In case something crazy happens.
Most of our best players are already transferred, so it's okay. But now's the time to get your thoughts in line. Like, really think about what we're going to look for in camp this year, because this is a big, weird year. Perhaps a weirder preseason than any other I can remember recently. A lot of changes, a lot of new stuff.
Big weird year, I think, is a pretty good way to summarize it, because there's very heavy implications on this football season. It would appear, by all accounts, that our football coach, who spent 10 years building a Power 5 champion, destroyed it all with one season. And, this is going to be the year where we find out, is it all gone? Is it all screwed away? Or have we built something sustainable and last year was a hiccup? Can Narduzzi find his step back? Has he filled this program with enough youth and developed it well enough that, as you mentioned, we lost quite a few guys in the transfer portal. Can this next generation step up and put together a coherent football team?
Yeah, I think honestly this offseason it's been pretty quiet in terms of the offseason, but as we approach this season, I'm really am excited for this camp, because I feel like there's more. Like, I feel like last year it was like, all right, we kind of know generally who's playing. Most of these guys have been playing a lot of snaps already. So it was like, okay, can the quarterback and the OC figure it out? They couldn't. And that's basically what it came down to. But I feel like this year there's going to be so many names that come out of camp, like even spring ball. It's like, oh, Cruz Brookins looks like a guy who can be a real stud for them. Who's going to emerge as, the starting cornerbacks? There's a whole new, basically every cornerback who played significant snaps last year has moved on. So yeah, I think this is a exciting camp season. Now, with that, I don't have a whole lot of confidence because I just don't know who is good. We haven't seen a lot of these guys play, but from a perspective of just, having a cautious optimism about, like, we're going to find who that next Pat Narduzzi NFL DB is this year. We're going to find out who the next stud receiver is that we didn't know we had in that receiver room. We're going to find that this year. So I feel like there wasn't a ton of that last season, and this year provides a lot of opportunity for it.
That's a good point. And maybe if I had that positive of a disposition, maybe we would have recorded more than once in the last 6 months, because I very, very frankly have spent the entire summer stewing still about everything that Narduzzi threw away in the last 2 years. And I have not been ready to yet make the transition into, but how fun is it that we have all of these guys that are unknowns and we get to watch the next generation of this team, take the step forward in front of our eyes this year, and who's going to be the guy. And, this should be a really fun year if you are, like us, total freaks for Pitt football who spend way too much time on Panther Lair and can name probably every recruit we've gotten over the last 3 years. This should be paradise for us. And now that we're finally, like, excited about football season, maybe we can, I don't know, take a step forward emotionally. I don't know if we need a licensed therapist to put the nail in the coffin on that one, but
So I was hearing this screaming, and I thought it was my own inner thoughts, like, no, please don't get yourself excited. Please don't talk yourself into this team. But it was actually just the baby back here. But maybe he is acting as my subconscious right now, just saying, don't do that to yourself.
But to be clear, we aren't getting excited that Pitt might be good.
Not yet.
We're getting excited.
I only need like 30 seconds of Nate Yarnell training camp passes, like video snippet to another win here, another win there.
No, this offseason, this training camp is going to be a really good test of how stupid the three of us are. How much we are willing to ignore logic and facts because we want to believe something so hard. But no, I don't think any of us are there yet, but we definitely are in agreement that this is going to be a very interesting season.
So what are we most interested to find out during this interesting camp season? You only get to pick one thing.
David, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so almost all of the turnover this offseason has been on the defensive side of the ball. And what I'm most excited to find out as the team takes to the field on Wednesday is which of our linebackers are going to be guys or even dudes. Last year, Simon, DeShields, Kamara. They were three guys who had some decent experience who I think, frankly, underperformed. Shane Simon is out of eligibility. And then, obviously, Kamara and DeShields transferred out. Where did DeShields end up, by the way? I was just thinking that, and I
A&M.
Texas A&M.
A&M oil money.
All right. Didn't see that one coming. I thought you were about to say Albany. Anyway,
I mean,
good for him. But I digress. We have a very long list of guys who could contribute this year at the linebacker position, and it's a very weird array of people. We have seasoned veterans who've been with the club forever. Talented transfers from the group of five level, guys who have come up through the program and are young but have paid their dues behind the starters, and then a whole lot of really, really young guys who were touted as recruits and touted as freshmen who might get a chance to start probably a little bit in advance of when Narduzzi would have liked them to, but we'll be getting that opportunity nonetheless.
Yeah, as you said, we lost almost our entire linebacking core from last year, but weirdly, I still feel pretty good about who we're going to churn out at the linebacker position. I don't know who's going to start. I don't know who's going to separate. No inside info here, but I'm eager to see who those guys are because other than Brandon George, it could be a combination of like six dudes in the other two positions. Hopefully Jordan Bass is one of those guys. Plays a freshman, has all the tools to be a really like NFL caliber linebacker. So if he can be like a staple, always on the field, clear head and shoulders above everyone else starter, I think that'd be a really good sign for this defense because we need some playmakers. Lost a lot of playmakers on the defensive side. So someone's got to make some plays.
Yeah, I don't think anyone talent there, like young talent.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Jordan Bass, but like Braylon Lovelace played a good bit of football last year as a true freshman, had 24 tackles on the season, had the touchdown down at Virginia Tech on the scoop and score. Kyle Lewis played a good amount, played a little bit in the middle, but I think he can play a couple spots. And then Rasheem Biles, a few block kicks last year, and another kind of freaky athlete. I think athletically, that room's in as good a spot as it's been in. Now, like you said, David, this is a pretty tough position to play, especially in Narduzzi's defense. But if they can pick it up, I think they have some real big time athleticism in that linebacking group.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember, because the spring game was so long ago and not memorable whatsoever. My two biggest takeaways from that were Dayon Hayes is our best player. He's gone. My other takeaway was Rasheem Biles is making a tackle like every other play. He was really good in the run game. And hopefully he's a guy that can step up too, because if Biles, Bass, and Brandon George are our top 3 linebackers and we can sub in Kyle Lewis. So I think Narduzzi said, I forget exactly what he said, but he had some really high praise for him. Saying he might be the best Dennis-ish. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of anything but positive. Anything but positivity about those 3 guys from the same class, Bass, Biles, and Lovelace. So it'll be very interesting to see how they step up. Kyle Lewis, I think, has kind of quietly been very solid and maturing through his couple years with the program. And then, who can forget the 4-star out of Aliquippa, the freshman, who, probably won't be competing for a starting position, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I would very much like to see it if Cam Lindsey saw a couple snaps this year.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably the best linebacker in the state of Pennsylvania, one of the best high school players in the state last year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, anytime you get a guy from Aliquippa, get a little more excited than you typically
dominate the state. So weird. We actually feel good about a position group.
That's a good start.
The future of it, yeah. So I think my hypothesis on this is, I feel very, very positively about the future of this position group. I think by the end of the season, our linebackers are going to be maybe not head and shoulders better than they were last year, but we will by week 12 saying this is a markedly improved group. But I do fear, and I do think that just with how difficult those positions are, this group is very much going to struggle at the beginning of the season, because even, veteran transfer Key Thompson is going to be learning a brand new system. He was all MAC, but this Randy Bates defense is no joke. So you have 6-7 guys who are still kind of learning and will be taking their first very meaningful, if not starting snaps on this defense. And then Brandon George, who couldn't really the rotation to a significant degree despite a lot of years in the program. So I'm predicting a very slow start that builds to a very strong unit for the next several years. But I think we're going to find out during camp who we can expect the most out of immediately.
Squid, what are you most interested in seeing this camp?
So I feel like most Pitt fans are very fond of a few of our offensive weapons. Like there's a lot of big Rodney Hammond supporters. I know David's perhaps the captain of that fan club. Feed Rodney. There's some people out there, us, all 3 of us. I think everyone who's a Pitt fan thinks Gavin Bartholomew, one of the top tight ends in the nation. The receiver room gets a little bit different because there's 9 guys who are in there that it's all pretty unknown. Aside from Kanata Montfield, I think everyone can agree he's probably the number 1 guy. Kenny Johnson, probably in a good position to be the number 2 guy. After that, who is going to play receiver? That's what I want to know. I want to know who out of the group of the Western Carolina guys, the Zion, Fowler L's, all those upcoming sophomores, are any of them ready to play? And how good can they be in this new offense? Because similar to the defensive end. We have some guys, but like, are they like really good guys? Or are they just like kind of good guys and we're going to struggle on offense again?
Yeah, so you named Kanade Mumpfield, mentioned Kenny Johnson, and then I think the other returner who, probably should be in a good spot to play a lot this year is Dejon Reynolds. But I want to do a quick little exercise with you guys. I want you guys, and please don't cheat or tell me that you just looked at their lines from the last season, but I want to guess the lines for these receivers last year. We'll start with Kanade Mumpfield since he'll be the number one most likely. What do you think catches, yards, touchdowns last season, just off the top of your head?
Ooh.
Give me 50 catches for like 550 yards.
I feel like he had 43 catches for 475 yards.
Okay, both of you pretty close. And are you guys hearing this behind me? Is there a lot of
a little bit?
Okay.
There's some noises.
All right. So both of you honestly pretty good guesses. Squid, you were almost right there with the catches. 44 catches, 576 yards, and 5 touchdowns for Kanade Mumpfield last year. Obviously in a aerially challenged offense for a lot of the season. Fairly respectable numbers, being the number 2 receiver. Ended up being number 2, stat-wise at least, behind Bub Means. So that's, I kind of liken Kanate to Taysier Mack a little bit. Like, you've seen flashes of a guy who can be really good, really effective, maybe just better as a number 2 behind a really good number 1. Maybe has left a little bit to be desired. I know when he came from Akron, we thought he was going to step in, and foolishly thought he would. We wouldn't miss a beat with losing the previous year's Bolitnikoff Award winner, Jordan Addison, but has been fairly productive. And, his third year here, I think it might just be time for him to take that next extra big step. Now, the next guy I want to ask you, probably the number 2, who knows, maybe elevates himself to the number 1 receiver this year, Kenny Johnson. This was a guy who I think everyone in the fan base and the program is very high on, knows has a high ceiling. What do you think his stat line was in 2023?
Did he have like 18 catches for like 220 yards?
This one's a little unfair because we've talked about the disparity between like how we felt about his play and the actual numbers.
Right.
I think if you were to do like a man on the street at a tailgate, or even just like floated this question on Panther Lair, the answer would be like, oh, he had what, like 4,800? Nope, he like under 20 catches, under 200 yards, right?
Yeah, 15 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. So
that's than I thought.
So like, for comparison, I'm sure there were several Division I receivers who had more catches, or I know there were more receivers who had more yards in a single game last year. And no knock against Kenny Johnson. I should also include he returned a kickoff for a touchdown. Hopefully he'll be that return specialist again this year. And I think he's going to take a big leap. I think his sophomore jump is going to be significant. 15 for 122, nothing to write home about, but we saw the flashes. We know the athleticism's there. And with a year under his belt in the college game, I think he takes that next step.
Yeah, it was a weird situation because Pitt fans thought he was going to transfer somewhere good, but at the same time, he didn't really have the numbers to back it up. So you really wondered like what the market was for him out there. So thankfully he's back because it's a sense of optimism.
I agree. It's great that we were so bad at throwing the football to him that he didn't really have many options to leave.
Masterclass Pat Narduzzi, they were hiding him. There was no benefit of using him last year.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
Okay, last guy for the stat guess here, Dejon Reynolds, probably the number 3 receiver. I think showed some flashes last year. Like, I think we were talking before we started recording, but there's a handful of plays where I can remember where I was like, oh, wow, that was like a really impressive like combat catch. Good job. What do we think?
Day had to be floating around Kenny Johnson numbers, right? That's what I'm gonna say. Like a little, like if Kenny Johnson's 15 for 180 or whatever, I'd say Day is 20 for 250.
I'm going way less. I'm going like 11 for $130.
Okay, so you guys actually went a little under on Dejon Reynolds. Day was a little more productive than we may recall. 28 catches for 316 yards. Yeah. Yeah. So there was a little more there. I mean, looking at like he had 6 for 31 against Notre Dame. So Squid, you probably didn't see any of those.
No.
We were probably out of the stadium at that point. 4 for 34 against Duke. Those were his big games. 0 touchdowns, I may add. Hasn't scored a touchdown in a Pitt uniform yet. So not a ton of scoring production returning in that room. But I think, like we said, all of this has to be given the asterisk. But they were catching passes from Phil Dracovic and Christian Veyer last year for 10 out of 12 games. So let's... there has to be some type of formula where we can input that and maybe adjust their numbers a little bit.
I think you can just multiply everything by 3, and that's what it would have been with like a replacement level quarterback.
Yeah.
Nate,
so that's gonna be a common theme this year. We'll just say, well, last year we had Phil Dracovic, so
should we make a Dracovic jar? Like every time we say it, we have to put a buck in there for like tailgate beer or something.
I think we could probably do that for a lot of things that we'll probably want to repeat often.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like this.
So like blaming, I guess just saying Drakovic's name, that's $1 in the IC light bucket, but just generally blaming the impotence of the offense on him or Frank Signetti.
$2.
$2.
we'll think of it.
Slovis. Like if you're going back 2 years now, that's going in the jar for sure.
Any reference to Pat Narduzzi selling the potential and the momentum of the program out to prove a point about playing old school football?
That'll be $1.
Go bankrupt. Yeah. I'll be bankrupt.
So before we move on to our final point of interest for camp, I want you all to pick one other receiver who you think will be productive this year. I'll give you some choices because there's quite the assortment. We have Raphael Poppy Williams Jr., Shane Wabuko, Sincere Lee, Zion Fowler-El. Is there anyone else I'm missing? Yeah, you can take Peter Varzel if you'd like. Lamar
I'll
Seymour,
leave that for you.
Jake McConaughey. Get a touchdown.
Oh man, what a killer's row. I'm gonna go with Poppy Williams.
Oh, I kind of wanted that one too.
I'm going solely because I don't have like super high hopes for any of the Western Carolina transfers that we got, and this is going to be something I'm sure we discuss later in the episode. But before he came to Pitt, another FBS program did bring him on, because between Western Carolina and Pitt, he did have a stop at San Diego State. San Diego State. He was an Aztec for a season, did not play a down because he got injured before the season. But that's just kind of how my pea brain is going to handle this one. The only person that you've listed that has played for a non-Pitt Division I program.
Can I also add that, all right, it was FCS, but as a true freshman at Western Carolina. He had 73 catches for 959 yards and 9 touchdowns. I mean, I understand it's the FCS level, but has actually been very productive in college, and doing that as a true freshman is impressive. Now, he's also 5'10", 165 pounds, so that could pose some issues in the ACC. But I don't know. I like him too. I'm just going to go Lamar Seymour. He was another guy who was hyped up early last year before the season. Kenny Johnson ultimately became the freshman from that stud group of freshman receivers. But heard good things about Lamar Seymour too. Is that all we can pull? Heard good things about him. He was pretty good at the FCS level.
He might be good.
Some other FBS team was willing to put him on their roster.
So I think this is a good way of describing it. It would surprise us the least if he was decent out of everybody.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
Squid, do you have one? Or is it your boy Vardzell?
No. I think the Vardzels have caught their last pass. Unless there's another brother, I don't know.
I was going to say, is there another one over at NA or something, like ready to take the reins?
I'll ask my buddy Tyler, who's been following the Vardzell family for a while now. So I think we've successfully named every Pitt receiver on the roster, so I've voted it's time to move on to what Dylan is most interested in for camp.
Yeah, this one's a little low-hanging, and probably what most people are most interested in. The offense. But not just the offense. Like, my interest is, what is this offense actually going to look like? Like, is this high octane? Like, is this Todd Graham? We run a play every 10 seconds, no huddle. Receivers don't really even run routes. They run to a spot on the field. Or are we just modernizing and going to look like a regular college football offense? Like last year looked like maybe what your local 10-year-old 10 and under team would run in terms of Stone Age level innovation. Does this year's Cade Bell infused offense, is it going to look crazy? Is this going to be something completely gimmicky and that everyone's in motion? They're running up to the line, running a play every 6 seconds, or are we just going to see an offense that looks like an ACC offense in the year of 2024?
I think either would be a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
I'll take either, honestly, but I'm curious.
Yeah, just how good is this offensive scheme that we've heard about? Is Cade Bell the next? I'm trying to think. I don't want to say Lincoln Riley because
Chip Kelly.
Yeah, the next Chip Kelly. Did we strike gold here? Or is this just us becoming like every other school?
I think I'm going to set my expectations on like, oh, this is just a come to the times. Like, we're just going to look like a normal offense, so that if we are doing something super innovative, I can be pleasantly surprised when we suit up against Kent State.
Well, not to keep talking about Todd Graham and the high octane offense, because I think that's a comparison we don't want. Todd Graham came in and tried running all this like spread, rollout, crazy stuff, like read options with Tino Sinceris as quarterback. Like, that was just stupid. So it did not work. He tried to reinvent the wheel really with what he had here at Pitt, and it clearly did not work. So if Cade Bell is really as smart as he is, I'd like to see him scheme up some advantages, like dissect defenses, like outsmart defenses. We haven't seen that in a long time, since the days of Mark Whipple calling deep post routes on 4th and 1. So we are not going to be the most talented team in 90% of the games we play. So I would hope our offensive coordinator can scheme some things up to get us to score some points. Is that too much to ask for?
No, I believe that is what the job title, offensive coordinator, that's what you're supposed to do. Honestly, I'd be okay with just modern. Like, this just looks like what most other teams are running. If it's fast, great. Hopefully we put up a lot of points, but I don't need some brand new, no one's ever run this before type of offense. I just need something that, oh, there's 4 receivers out there right now. Oh, there's a guy running in motion. Fake jet sweep, like something different than last year. I don't need to see the Frank Signetti hurry up single back offense that he busted out as like the big tweak in the offense.
I would even settle for like clearly our best players playing the majority of the time. That would be an improvement.
That's one. Yeah,
Because
throwing Gavin Bartholomew the ball, finding ways to get it to him,
handing the ball to Rodney Hammond. I'm
gonna put $1 in the IC Light Fund jar here and just say it. All we heard about Frank Signetti when he got here was, oh, he can adapt his scheme. He'll get the best players the ball.
Yes.
I didn't see that anywhere. So hopefully Cade Bell does that.
I mean, I'm sure we'd love innovative, but if we just have a normal collegiate offense in 2022 that is a 10, maybe 11 win team, and if we have modern offense last year and don't let our dumb throwback OC go pick the worst quarterback in college football, I don't want to project where I think we would have been last year because a lot went wrong, but it sure as hell isn't 3-9.
you're in a bowl game at least.
You're in a bowl game. I think you won 7 games last year with a different OC and a different quarterback, at least.
So difference what we're looking for.
Difference what we're looking for.
Difference what we're probably going to get. Nate Yarnell said, I think at ACC Media Days, I think the word he used was unrecognizable. And I think all of our collective reactions were, well, that's a start.
Yeah.
It'll be really funny if it just goes really badly. Like there's
that would be
like
hilarious.
With their head cut off.
That would be hilarious, actually.
Well, I'm getting to a point here. I remember Pat Narduzzi was talking about the tempo of the offense and how fast it was, and he just goes, "Oh, we'll never take a delay of game again." I can picture right now, first drive of the game against Kent State, 3 passes, like a false start mixed in there, all 3 incomplete. Offense off the field in like 7 seconds. And everyone will be getting real antsy 7 seconds into the season.
Oh, the first drive will be like the most anticipated. Like if there's a 3 and out, like half the stadium might just empty out.
There'll be some boos already.
Yeah. Well,
Boo City, baby.
Boo City will be back if they go 3 and out. Like they need 1 first down on that first drive.
But if they march like 75 yards in a minute 20, good Lord, watch out, West Virginia.
Be booking Airbnbs to Charlotte. Okay, if you're Cade Bell, we should give Cade Bell advice right now. I think first play, you hand the ball off to Rodney Hammond. Second play, you throw the ball to Bart in the flat. And then wherever you're at from there, you've at least checked 2 boxes to please us, the loyal Sons.
I'm a big fan of fan service, like to start a season. Last year against Florida, the very first play of the year, a Cam Rising-less Utah team just ran a play action 80-yard bomb. And I was like, see, like, of course, ideally every play is an 80-yard bomb. But like your fan base is worried sick about what your team is going to look like without your star quarterback. And, they're going to play conservative. They're going to run it every down. It's going to be unwatchable. 80-yard strike first play because they knew that was how they needed to start off the season. We don't even need to have Yarnell air one out to Mumfield or Kenny Johnson. First 2 plays, give them to the 2 guys that were left for dead for no reason last year.
And I'll say to cap off the drive, to get the people really squirming in their seats. You trot out Eli Holstein when you're in the red zone, like inside the 5 or the 10, and do like the old Tim Tebow, like fake run, jump pass to Bart. There's no shot Narduzzi would let him call that in a game against a MAC school. But in theory.
What if we just empty the clip against Kent State?
I think that's what they should do. I mean, I feel like Narduzzi's probably in the meeting room, like they're Monday, first day of Kent State week. Cade Bell's looking at the board. He's like, hey, okay, this is what I'm thinking, coach, first 15 plays. And Narduzzi's like, hold on, Cade, let me stop you right there. Do you think we can get out of this game with a win if you only show them like 3 formations? And Cade Bell's going to look at him like, oh, God, what did I get myself into?
Oh, now I get why all those other OCs turned this job down. Remember when that's totally what we thought we did against Wofford last year, and it turned out we just sucked?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's enough of what we're interested in for camp. We're going to take a quick break and come back with a Mount Washington. We haven't had one of these in a while. And we're back. We have a Mount Washington for all of you loyal sons and daughters listening. First one we've done in a while. I can't even name the last one we did. Can either of you? Probably not. We'll have to go back.
Well over a year ago.
Go back and look in the archives, but I'm excited for this one. With camp starting on Wednesday, we have pretty limited access to seeing what's actually going on. We have to rely on the words of the coaching staff, media members, fans on Twitter, anonymous posters on Panther Lair. Fellas, today we're doing the Mount Washington of lies we're ready to be told during fall camp. And Squid, that could even fall into, I think, like you said, lies you're ready to believe.
Yeah, for example, a big one last year, fans started to ask, and all those videos being tweeted about the fall practices, Phil Dracovic isn't throwing a spiral very often. Is that a problem? Everyone was like, no, he's fine. He's fine.
Just that clip. Yeah, that clip just looked a little weird. It's like, oh, really? Do all of the clips just look a little weird? No, it's really no big deal.
It's just his mechanics.
Yeah.
Or like, this is the year Bengal
Ball still gets
going to lead the NCAA in tackles.
Yep, that's a good one. Let's see. What any other examples we can give the good people here? 2 years ago, there's a real quarterback competition in camp between Keaton Slovis and Nick Patty. I think we've all decided that was a farce.
We were told the same thing last year, so I think you can just throw that all under. There's a competition between this guy that we paid a lot of money to come here and promised would be the starter, and this other guy that we made no such financial investment or promises to. I'm going to stop so that one can't be taken off the board because I could use a little help here. So just a couple clarifying things. This is things said by players, coaches, fans, media.
Anyone, any lies from anyone Pitt related about the Pitt football team, they're all on the table here.
All right, what's our order?
We do this every time. Okay, who has the most amount of wins in college football? 25 under their belt.
This is bullshit.
I know it ain't David. And Squid, you beat me head to head, so I have to imagine you've been playing a little more than I have.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot.
All right, Squid, me, David.
I'll go first. Okay. I'm just gonna go with Phil Dracovic was the only problem last year.
Okay,
Interesting.
that's a
Last
good one.
year, a lot of Pitt fans thought, man, like our line wasn't all that bad. Our running backs are good. Our receivers were good. Our defense wasn't bad. Man, different quarterback. We're a completely different team. I don't know if we're there just yet. I think aside from quarterback last year, we were pretty good, but not that good. So I think we're going to see some glaring holes at some point, or for most points of this year. And it's not just going to be fixed with a new quarterback.
Wow. Are you a Phil Dracovic apologist?
Always
No,
has been.
I'm not going to stand for that. You can say a lot of things about me, but that's not one of them.
Didn't we just talk about how much Squid loves white pass catchers from the Whippeal?
True.
Phil is that now.
Current Pittsburgh Steelers tight end, Phil Dracovic. Which is just the most ridiculous ad lib I could have thought of. Mad lib. Okay. I've got one for you. The West Carolina guys actually look like ACC football players. Like they don't look out of place at all. That's what we're gonna hear. We're gonna hear about like, oh, they're not gonna miss a beat. It's not gonna be too big of a step for them. I was looking at some of their sizes. I mean, we said like Poppy Williams is 5'10", 165. I think Desmond Reed's 5'8", 175. Sincerely listed at 5'10", 175. I get it. Speed kills. And I love that these guys bring some experience in Cade Bell's offense. But as long as I've been watching football, the really good teams have big, bad dudes. And, trotting out a bunch of guys who barely outweighed Squid and me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about that. So but I guarantee we're going to be told that, they just look like everyone else.
Some of them wear weird numbers too. Like Sincere Lee's number 22 at wide receiver. That's not doing him any favors. He looks even smaller.
It made all the sense to go get him. You need a couple guys who can fill out the depth chart and know the offense. But nobody's going to sit here and tell me that a couple 5'7" FCS transfers are going to rejuvenate this offense. And I know that's what we have coming down the pipeline. All right. You guys left my 1 and my 2 on the board. So thank you to me for being dog shit at video games. The first one is that Nate Yarnell's looking a lot like a certain quarterback from yesteryear.
Say who it is.
I'm ready for the Nate Yarnell Kenny Pickett comparisons because we can't help ourselves.
I did see somebody tweet that today.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we put out the Nate Yarnell hype video and someone just said like Nate's gonna have a better senior season than KP. And I was like, all right. Like I'm getting excited as anyone, but let's just
enough.
Flat out blasphemous.
All right, and my other one, every bad thing that happened in 2023 was Signetti's fault, and Narduzzi was powerless to stop him. He does this with every coordinator or player who leaves the program on bad terms. I mean, especially like how quickly does he throw former assistants under the bus? And how quickly does he absolve himself of bad decisions made for our offense? Because I'm a defensive guy. I stick with the defense in practices. I let my offensive staff operate with total autonomy. So this is I think a lot of what we've talked about are lies from like fans in the media. This is I'm ready for Narduzzi's next terrible soundbite throwing Signetti under the bus.
Oh, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
Has he not done one yet? I mean, we might go like over under 10.5 minutes on the like first day of camp presser before he just says like, oh yeah, our new offensive coaches are so much better. It's night and day. I don't even know I don't even know who hired those last guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. my next one, I'm actually going with another Yarnell lie. And I think this one is Nate Yarnell is firmly our guy. Firmly. QB1 all the way. We're sticking with him. The reason I don't believe that is partly because of what David said before we started making our picks, is that Nate Yarnell came here on his own accord back in 2021, pre-NIL era, and NIL was just getting underway. And then Eli Holstein, his backup from we pulled from Alabama, probably had to write a decent NIL check too. And quite frankly, I think things could look a little sloppy early in the season, learning the new offense. And I think there's certain somebodies with deep pockets who might get fed up pretty quickly and want the guy who they paid a bunch of money to come here to start playing. So I know I think they will go through camp, and I absolutely think Nate Yarnell will start the season. And I think that's the right choice. I think he's earned it and he's shown that he can be that. But there's going to be a whole lot of, oh yeah, he's our guy. We're sticking with him. Everyone knows he's the guy. And I don't know that it will take very long unless he just comes out and absolutely lights it up. I
He
think,
will.
which he will. Yes. But in the odd, unrealistic outcome that he doesn't, there will be some people trying to make some moves to get him benched.
In my expert opinion, there's a big talent gap between Yarnell and Eli Holstein, but maybe in contrast to last year, Narduzzi's making some changes that we didn't think he'd make. So maybe he's all about the change now. Last year, he waited too long to make change. Maybe this year he'll be a little quick on the trigger.
I want to give him credit. The offensive coordinators, even before Bell, that he was looking at were a stark difference from Cignetti. So who's to say an old dog can't learn new tricks?
But Nate
He
Yarnell
says
is
he
the
was
guy.
humbled
That's
by
happening.
last year.
Yeah, we all were.
Mm-hmm.
Squid?
So this is a lie that I'm ready to be told, but I will not believe it. I've fallen trapped to this one far too many times, just expecting that the next wave of guys for Pitt will be just as good, if not better, and especially this one position group. The lie I'm ready to be told is the new group of cornerbacks are like ready to go. They're not going to miss a beat.
I had that.
I don't know who's going to start, whether it's Rashad Battle, Tamarian Crumpley,
Rylan Gandy.
Noah
I know
Bigelow,
dudes
Rylan
called out
Gandy,
Rylan Gandy as like
Yeah.
almost a definite starter.
Tamon Lynham, the transfer. I'm not convinced that you can just go from barely getting any snaps to becoming a starter and being good right away in this defense. Also, we're going to have a weaker pass rush than we've had in a long, long time. So those cornerbacks are going to have a tough job. I think our safeties are all right. They're seasoned a little bit more, but I don't think they're going to help all that much. We might be seeing some deep balls thrown on us this year.
We talked about how tough being a linebacker in Randy Bates' defense is. Don't get us started on cornerbacks.
Yeah, I mean, and statistically speaking, one of these cornerbacks this year will go and get drafted and play in the NFL and probably be good, but it might not show up on Saturdays this fall.
It's a work in progress. You get two, right, Squid?
Yeah. My second one here. Okay, I really, really hope this one isn't true, but Bart will be a focal point in the offense. I pray it isn't true. Give Bart the ball, whatever it takes. But
So you pray it
hope
isn't a
it's-
lie.
Yeah.
yeah, I hope it isn't a lie, but I'm ready to be told, like, oh, he's the number one option. He's going to get like 10 targets a game.
And then
I should
more of the
clarify
same.
that, yeah.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, we've been lied to for 2 straight years about it. So
I had that as as one as well, and I think you could have made a very good case for that being 1-1, just because it would be the third straight year we're told, like, yeah, this clearly a stud NFL ready tight end. We're gonna build the offense around him, and then he's gonna have another season of 18 receptions.
It's basically fan service. Like if you're the PR person for Cade Bell or EJ Borghetti, you're like, hey, your first press conference, go out there and say you're going to give Gavin Bartholomew the ball. Like you have to do that. And if you say that, the fans will be like all in already.
If I were to tell you that Bart averaged more yards per catch than Bub Means last year, would you believe me?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. He did. He led the team in yards per catch.
I do have faith.
What's the number?
Between
18.1 yards.
Just
actually, technically, Jake McConaughey,
okay,
who had over double that. One catch for 39 yards. But yeah, if we put a reception minimum under on that, our
18 yards a catch
clubhouse,
for a tight end is just ludicrous.
Absurd.
I do have faith in Nate Yarnell and Cade Bell being capable enough to give the football to Gavin Bartholomew. But
I didn't know that Nate Yarnell and Bart were roommates. Bart said that at ACC Media Day. So, I mean, there's going to be some awkward conversations in the apartment if Nate ain't throwing the ball his way. So, okay. My next one here, and I'm not sure if anyone's going to have the unmitigated gall to actually say it, but I do think we're going to hear this from someone at some point, even if it's just a passing comment. But the D line looks like a Charlie Partridge defensive line.
Oh, I'm not.
It won't. You want to know how I know? Because Charlie Partridge ain't here, and they're going to try to sell us on these guys learned under Partridge. I mean, half the guys left, and now we've got a few more transfers in. But I'm just not going to stand for that. Charlie Partridge was way too good for way too long for people to sit here. But I do think someone's going to say that. They're going to say, "Oh, it just looks like it did with Coach P here. Like we've learned under him, we've taken what he taught us." Da da da. I'm ready for it.
The only reason this episode is staying under 2 hours is because we haven't talked about the defensive line yet.
And we won't.
And we will not. That's another day. No, that's a good one, Dylan. I didn't want to do two comparison selections, but I did have on my list that one of the young defensive tackles looks a lot like AD. Like someone's going to, whether it's in an article KSD. Or whether it's in an article or on a message board, somebody's going to say that they're hearing Neil looks like the next AD. Something like that, but I'll spare you. That feels cheap. I already got the Kenny Pickett one. But so I'll go another Narduzzi addition by subtraction stray at a transfer. So he's going to say that a position group underwent addition by subtraction, and it's going to be a clear reference to somebody walking out on the program. He did?
Yeah, I think I saw it on Panther Lair. He said that the guys on the defensive line behind Dayon and Sammy O are like ahead of where they were. Something like that. I think it was at some like Alliance 412 like meet and greet. He said it wasn't like out to the public, but you're gonna have to take that poster for their word there.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
I'm having none of it. Oh, and my last pick, that West Virginia fans are going to outnumber Pitt fans at the Brawl.
Oh, that's a really good one.
A little ironic because it's a thing I did say out loud before I found out that we're essentially making West Virginia fans fork over $300 to $400 if they want a ticket to the Brawl.
Good.
Good. But yeah, I'm really excited for that that storyline coming out of the state south and west of us.
And they'll all believe it.
Hey, listen, the logic could be worse. They're close to us. They are coming off of a season that they're carrying a lot of momentum from because they had an easy schedule. And we went 3-9 last year. So, logically speaking, but no, the Pitt athletic department made very, very certain that that royal blue is the dominant color in Acrisure that day.
My last pick here, and it's a lie I've heard before. The offense actually isn't that much different, and we already have all the terminology down. And I don't think, and they're going to have to be careful about how they word this, because if they say it's not that different, then we might show up to the facility with pitchforks. But we're gonna get the, oh yeah, like it's just really another football offense. We're ready to, I mean, it's a few turns. We're running some different motions here and there, but it's not that hard to learn. And against Kent State, we're gonna see like 3 procedural penalties, a delay game. There's gonna be some sloppy missed assignments, and that's just part of it. And I'm okay with that. But they're gonna tell us otherwise, because I remember Signetti's first year in camp, the players coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, the offense really isn't that different." And then I watched them run power I 3 times in a row against West Virginia in the first brawl.
And then the big post-mortem on it was that yeah, even though the run game was very simple, the passing game was just a trillion reads, and no reasonable college quarterback should be expected to be able to run it effectively.
The receivers couldn't learn it either. I think they were running the wrong routes on like half the plays, or lining up in the wrong spot. It was a mess. There were so many times you'd see the 2 receivers in the same exact spot. Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of sloppiness early, so I won't be buying that one either, Dylan. My last
the IC light bucket is
filling up.
We're already a couple cases deep.
So my last one's a big one. We said it can come from anybody. This one specifically would come from the athletic director, and they would tell us that Pat Narduzzi's job is safe. Like, Pat Narduzzi is our guy.
Wow.
Like, Pitt starts 2-3. People getting a little pissed off, maybe get blown out once or twice. 2-4 comes along. Do we get told, "Oh no, Pat's our guy"? Like, we're not pulling the plug. He's our guy. I don't know.
I like it. I think we will hear that, but I don't know, man. If we don't have a stark turnaround, I mean, I don't think Pitt doesn't have to win 8 games, but I think you have to make a bowl game this year to firmly say that Pat Narduzzi is going to stick around.
I think you just need to show improvement. I'd obviously prefer we make it to a bowl game, but also thinking about his contract and how much he's cemented kind of a legacy here, he just needs to show improvement, and they're going to give him another year, I think, regardless of a catastrophic meltdown. But you guys are right. That is the most pre-fired shit ever, is your AD coming out amidst a chorus of outcries from your fan base and media and saying, "No, this is our guy." It's happened every single time a coach has been on the hot seat in the modern era. It even happened when the president of the United States looked a little bit too old in a debate. The party said, "This is our guy. Joe's our guy."
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know if there's a number attached to what would make me happy as far as a win total. I think it's come down to like, do we look all right? And is this like a good path in the future? Could be 5 wins, could be 6.
Yeah,
I
I'm
hope we
sure
don't
we're
have to
up.
hear it, but I'm fully prepared to.
Yeah, not to get into the like this is more of a season preview thing. We'll talk about it, but I think if the offense looks like serviceable and something that we can build on, I think Pat's in good shape. But if it doesn't, oh boy.
So we'll pocket that one for a future episode, maybe. Maybe Seat Check will come back this year.
I think Seat Check is going to be back in force,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So think about where the starting point is, starting temperature for Pat Narduzzi's seat. Because we'll be there soon enough, boys.
It's been a hot summer in Pittsburgh. Okay, but fall camp hasn't even started yet, so we don't have to talk about firing Narduzzi yet. That will come on its own. But thank you for joining. Thank you for listening in. Football season is just about back. The Loyal Sons are back. Football season will be back here every week. And as always, thank you for listening. And as always, hail Loyal Sons of Pittsburgh.
We all know someone who's trying to figure out the next steps in their life. They're looking for something new, or maybe just a break. What if there's a job opportunity for those looking to make a change that requires no experience and pays up to $19.50 an hour to start, plus 401k and healthcare benefits? Whether someone you know is in between jobs, transitioning careers, or even just a recent grad or current student on break, Haddad Accelerated Delivery is an Amazon delivery partner that offers flexible opportunities to those looking for work. Whether it's part-time or full-time, long-term, or just until you figure out your next big move, Haddad Accelerated Delivery offers the stability and professional development you need. If you know someone who might benefit from talking to the team at Haddad, have them text 464646 to apply. That's a text to 464646 to apply.